We will have a panel discussion with CDFIs, which focuses on access to capital for small, diverse businesses. We have with us Charity Hallman, who is the Senior Vice President, Community Economic Development for Hope Federal Credit Union, and then Mr. Arlo Washington, Founder and President of People Trust, Anthony Young, President of Southern Bancorp Community Partners, and Jay Young, Regional Director of Forge Community Loan Fund. If you all will come up and we'll give them a hand, we're looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, there's Jay. Well, while our panelists are making their way to the front, I want to say thank you to the City of Little Rock for hosting this economic summit. This is exciting for us to pull together such a robust group of partners and folks and individuals from different walks of life and different places to be focused on the economic sustainability of Little Rock. So my name is Kara Wilkins, as Derek introduced me, and I am the director of Bank On Arkansas Plus. And so Bank On Arkansas really quickly works to provide access to affordable and safe banking accounts for individuals in Arkansas. And so building off of Ms. Sam Evans, I'm excited to be joined with the folks that are on this panel, many of which are part of Bank On, either through our coalition or they also offer a checking account through our program. But as we talk about getting people entry points to getting into banking, we're really also talking about what is that long-term strategy for folks to be able to do the things that they would need to do if they are a small business owner and or working in developing their own business. So I am excited. I thank Sam. She gave some really good data, and one of the things that I wanted to point out that she noted is that 66% of small business owners are using their own personal capital to fuel their business. That is concerning for so many reasons. And so when we talk about access to capital, we're also talking about large gaps and wealth gaps and potential for people to start small businesses, but to actually end up with adverse effects because maybe they're taking out the second mortgage on their grandma's loan, or maybe they're borrowing from so-and-so, so we want to make sure that there are reliable, accessible forms of capital for them, and we usually can do that through several ways, as Sam showed us, but CDFIs are a very tangible and a way that we want to kind of increase from that 4% that Sam showed us. So two things really quickly, because I know that we in the financial industry tend to throw around a bunch of acronyms. So CDFI, it's Community Development Financial Institution. And then two, when we talk about SDBE, we're talking about small disadvantaged business entrepreneurs or small diverse businesses. So I just wanted to put those acronyms out there because I know we will use them several times in this conversation. But to level set, I'd like to ask Anthony to give us a little bit of some background about what is a CDFI and how is it different from a traditional financial institution?
Sure. So let me start by saying it's an honor to be on stage with such an esteemed panel. I'm even more honored to be on the battlefield with them as colleagues. But a CDFI, as mentioned, is a community development financial institution. In a nutshell, it's a financial institution that is charged and really founded to deploy financial resources into underserved areas, to underserved people, and to scale up underserved projects. Typically, those financial resources are geared and created to be deployed to low to moderate income areas, which disproportionately tend to be minority and women. And I think that the state of Arkansas should be incredibly proud of its history for CDFIs. The CDFI industry comes right back to the state of Arkansas. Back in 1986, then Governor Bill Clinton sees a developmental bank in the south side of Chicago, decides that, hey, I wonder if that would work in Arkansas. Comes back and partners with the Rockefeller Foundation, as well as the Walton Foundation, and many others. They found Southern Development Corporation, which is now Southern Bancorp. He goes to become president, and through the Regal Act, there were more than 100 CDFIs created. Now, there are nearly 1,500 CDFIs across the country. The asset size has now increased to over $450 billion. And so again, CDFIs are institutions that are charged with deploying financial resources into underserved areas, and that industry starts right back here in Arkansas.
Perfect, thank you. Oh, look, we didn't even prep you for that, so I know I was right. So building on that, and I'm going to actually start with Charity and make our way around, then we'll come back to you, Anthony. But can each of you speak about your institution's strategy and how they may differ from other CDFIs who are on the panel?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. And I want to echo Anthony's comments. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. I love to be in this space, and I really love a chance to talk about hope. And so one of the wonderful things about CDFIs, we're very different, and we're diverse by design, right? You can be a micro fund, you can be a credit union, you can be a loan fund, and you can be a depository bank, right? So we take different forms, and we do that based on strategies and our mission. And so Hope has been around 29 years. We like to say we're in our 30th. We are a credit union. We are one of the largest Black-led, women-led credit unions in the country, and we also have a loan fund, both of which are CDFIs. And we use those to build and work together because we work across 5 states. We're in Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Tennessee. And we purposely seek to serve underserved communities. And so we do that through product, through place, through our people. We're very intentional about who we hire, where we open institutions at, and the products that we serve and offer. And so those can range from very small micro loans to larger commercial loans. And then we have another arm for community and economic development, which is usually the space I hang out in. And that is because we realize that in addition to serving individuals, we need a way to serve communities and towns so that everything is working in a cohesive manner to improve that environment.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to tell us about Forge?
Yes, first and foremost, thank you all for allowing us to be here this morning. We appreciate it, as Anthony said. So Forge Community Loan Fund, we tout ourselves, of course, as the oldest community loan fund in the state. And we started out, I would say about the first 10 years or so, we focused primarily on organic farming loans just in Huntsville, Arkansas. And then the next 10 years or so, we focused and said, hey, we're going to spread out and kind of go across some other business sectors, but we were still kind of in and around Huntsville. For the last 15 years or so, we've been really spreading around the state. In fact, when I started representing Forge about 5 years ago, there was only the executive director and myself. Now we have about 4 directors out in the field around the state. And so we definitely cater to those individuals who are underserved, who are afraid, literally afraid to go into a bank as well. We do things that's untraditional. I've closed loans in truck stops, in libraries, in people's homes, in their businesses. I've closed loans on Saturdays, on Sundays. We do whatever it takes to get the job done. So that's where we're coming from.
Exciting. Thank you, Jay. Arlo, do you want to talk a little bit?
Sure. Okay, I got you. Okay, thanks for having us. Arlo Washington People Trust. We emerged out of an unmet credit need here in Arkansas due to the prohibition of predatory payday lending. We emerged out of that need. There was not an alternative to come back to fill in that gap, and so we emerged from that. We take a 2-pronged approach, tactical approach. We have a CDFI loan fund, and then we have a minority depository institution credit union. So we are able to meet people where they are, wherever they are on the financial journey, we're able to meet them there. So providing financial education, providing technical assistance, ongoing support for small businesses and individuals in our community, partnering with being a quarterback or the middleman for traditional financial institutions, for philanthropic community, as well as for private stakeholders, state, federal government. So we're the middleman to access to capital and access to the financial system.
Yeah. And Anthony, I'm going to wrap up if you want to talk a little bit about Southern Bank.
Sure. So Southern is a family of companies. There's a holding company, Southern Bancorp, Inc., in which Darren Williams serves as our CEO. There is a community bank, Southern Bancorp Bank. We've got one just next door here. John Levy serves as our CEO there. And then we have a nonprofit loan fund, Southern Bancorp Community Partners, in which I have the privilege of being president. And so all three entities are CDFIs, and we all work in concert together with really kind of three common missions. One is to help families get access to housing. Two is to help entrepreneurs create and retain jobs. And third is to help working class families save. And all three of us play a different role in trying to do that. Specifically on the loan fund side, we do a couple things. So one, we lend money, right, typically to underserved areas. About 83% of our portfolio is to minority-owned businesses. But we also have an asset building, financial development services type shop in which we do credit counseling, homebuyer education, but we also do some activities such as volunteer income tax assistance. Last year we did 4,403 tax returns for free, whether you bank with Southern or not, and that returned $5.6 million back into the hands of working class people in Mississippi and Arkansas. There's also 1.7 in earned income tax credit as well. We do that, and then we have a public policy and advocacy shop, which really focuses on elevating the voices to remove some of the barriers that were mentioned earlier around asset limits and those that are income constrained. And so that's a little bit about Southern, and one of the things that I think is important is that as we talk about differences, those differences are really from a standpoint of collaboration. I think I speak for all of us. Our competitors aren't the other CDFIs, and our competitors aren't banks. Our competitors are financial exclusion, lack of access to affordable housing. That's our competitor. Our competitors are the policies that constrain working class the ability to save. So again, that's a little bit about Southern and what we do.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and so thank you all. And I think that speaks to that 4% that, again, Sam showed us earlier, that a large part of that gap is because people don't understand the wide breadth of services that CDFIs offer, and that you do have different ones and different ways that you can connect. And so it's important for people to hear a little bit more about your institutions. I'm going to be in the interest of time a little bit, and so I'm going to skip a few questions that maybe we gave you guys, but I want to really get to some of the tangibles about how we can serve communities. And so, Arlo, I just heard this phrase earlier this year, but it says businesses move at the speed of trust. And so for me and for all of us, I think that shows that we know that a big gap is that a lot of times people are not connected to financial institutions for various reasons, as Jay just sort of mentioned. Some of it is actually access, but some of it is just, I'm afraid to walk into a bank, or I've had a negative experience, or I don't know what I'm going to get when I get there. So can you talk a little bit about people's trust? You guys literally have trust in the title. And the work that you've been doing to build a relationship with communities and clients. And then how does a small business know that a CDFI is actually right for them?
Okay. Well, people trust, of course, like I said, emerged out of an unmet credit need in Arkansas. And one of the things that we focus on is unbanked and underbanked population. And so you asked me 3 questions, so I'm going to break it down one at a time. The first one that you want is...
My first question is, tell us a little bit about how you're connecting with communities and clients in order to bring them into financial services.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we partner with the Department of Human Services so that we can reach our most vulnerable population, those that are asset limited, income constrained, and employed, or unemployed and want to get access to technical assistance, and financial education is a big barrier. We have to examine the racial wealth gap and understand that as communities progress, the underinvested communities were kind of stuck back in time. So you're thinking about the Flintstones and the Jetsons. So there's a different approach when you offer financial products and services to low and moderate income communities. So we have to, number one, make sure we provide the financial education so that they're able to understand their finances, so that they're able to be able to comprehend some of the language that's out there in this industry. And then also we have to be able to provide them with access to credit, because it takes credit to get credit. So we have to provide access to credit so that they're able to get access to capital, but they have to understand their credit. They have to understand it's not what you make, it's what you do with what you make. It's budgeting, and it's just that ongoing support, making them feel comfortable, not belittling, making them feel like that, because of their generational poverty experience, that they are not able to change the narrative and build generational wealth. So we keep an open door policy. We try to make people feel as comfortable as possible when they enter our facilities. We want it to be accessible, so we want it to be located in the heart of the community, because one of the things that we heard whenever we first started People Trust was that it's hard to where are the CDFIs? How do you access CDFI? Maybe how do you access the information that you need to be able to go to a bank and talk to a CRA officer, a community development officer at a bank. Most small business owners and most community members don't know that there are people within the bank, specific folks for community development. And so how do you start that conversation? So first, recognizing the role that we play in the financial system and that it's a critical role. So, we create that culture with our employees. We create that environment for our community members. And that's one of our...
That was good. You actually hit 2 or 3 of them in that one response. So look at you. Well, I'm going to thank you, Arlo, and I'm going to move to you, Charity. I'm going to build off of something that Arlo just said, which is the financial education and those other pieces that are key core components for small businesses to understand as they are seeking access to capital. So can you tell me a little bit more about how HOPE is ensuring the financial needs of individual business owners are being met?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we try to do this almost at every level at HOPE, right? From our bank and the tellers that you would see if you walk in, to our website, from our blog and our stories, to the individual loan officers. We even have a position called a financial inclusion officer, right? In every state, we employ staff, and we have Kimberly Lee here, who's wonderful at this, and we have Alex, who is another financial inclusion officer here in Little Rock, and they go out into the community and will talk to individuals, businesses, clubs, you name it, to talk to them on an individual level or even about that process if you're a small business. And so that's one way we do it. We also do it one-on-one. So Mark, who's here with me today, he's our commercial loan officer. We'll sit and talk about, what do you need? Why do you need it? Maybe what you came looking for doesn't quite fit here, but maybe it's here, right? And so we'll make a referral. And one of my favorite things about HOPE is we often say, we never say no, we say maybe not yet, not right now, and we will make a referral. Sometimes it's to Southern, sometimes it's to Forge, sometimes it is to Communities Unlimited, who will provide really in-depth technical assistance, and they're a trusted partner that's free. Or sometimes it's just us sitting with you a little longer to say, okay, if you rework this or look at that, maybe we can do it this way. And so it's really just being honest and transparent in the communication and that approach, because you never know. We want to grow with you. So that we want you to trust us, because our mission is your mission, because it's all about the communities we're in.
Thank you for that, Charity. I think it's important to know that no, it means not no, but not now. And I think that the transparency behind that is what continues to keep people invested in the capital process, as opposed to just being sent a form letter or a form email, and then you never hear from someone about why you were denied the loan or what the next steps are. So it's good that you guys kind of have partnerships and trajectories that you can kind of share.
And if I could just add one more, like one of the other things we do is we really look at our data, right? Like 46% of our members were unbanked or underbanked before they joined. Like 64% of our small businesses that we made loans to were women. So we really look at that on an annual and an ongoing basis to check ourselves.
Jay, can I move to you, because you said something very interesting. You talked a little bit about the Forge model and that it is, really rooted in what we see happening in the financial industry in terms of technology driven, right? And so keeping in mind that, not everyone can walk into a brick and mortar, right? We have to have options and opportunities for people to be able to still access capital in ways that work for them. And so I know we're here at the city of Little Rock, but we also know that we're a very rural state here in Arkansas, and know that we have broadband challenges for some folks who don't live, hell, some folks who live here, right? Who live in Southwest and maybe some other places, but also around the state. So Jay, can you tell us a little bit more about what advice would you give to small and diverse businesses that are currently struggling to access that capital, maybe either through proximity or through some other things? And then, or how would you talk to them about going about scaling their operations if they're in need of some sort of loan to help get them to the next step?
Sure. I would say the first thing for any small business that is whether they're starting or whether they want to scale after starting is to be clear on where you want to go. Clarity to me is probably the most important ingredient in the whole process. You have to know where you're going. And once you know where you're going, if you don't know how to articulate that on paper, there are sources out there that can help you. ASB, TDC, there's SCORE out there, those are two free organizations that can help. Personally, I grew up in Hope, Arkansas, so there's not a lot in Southwest Arkansas. In fact, I joke around and say all the time, I can get some of the best chicken dinners, I can get my shirts ironed, I can get all kind of stuff done in my hometown, but those people are not really true businesses. They're not even structured as a business. They're not recognized, if that makes sense. And so I would say once you become clear, seek out those organizations that can help. I love what Charity had to say about the fact that, she and Anthony both, we're not in competition with each other. We're actually enhancing each other's effectiveness by partnering. If we have a handshake with traditional banks, if someone brings someone to Forge, they can't get a loan with the bank, we help them. When they outgrow Forge, we take them back to that bank that they came from. So I would just say, being clear and being more cognizant of going out to find those organizations that could help, that's free of charge to you.
Yeah, thank you. And can you talk a little bit about how are people accessing sort of your online portal? Do you see some specific challenges as you're walking people through capital access online that maybe folks aren't seeing if someone walks into a brick and mortar business or? Sure.
So, of course, the information is out there online. And we'll tell people that, but believe me, I was on the way over here this morning. I got a call from a guy. We've been working with him, and he said, "Can you send me this? Can you send me that?" It's online. But I said, "Okay, when I finish this meeting, I'll send it to you." So we're doing a lot of that because we're understanding that everyone is not at the same level, right? And so we really don't want anyone to be left behind. If they do what we asked them to do, then we'll do what we said we would do.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I know that we are here on 12th Street today. This is exciting. I grew up on 12th Street across the street from St. Mark. And so I remember when there was just the Worthens / Boatmans down at the end where University and 12th Street intersect. And it has just been tremendous to see not one, but two CDFIs in the last year come here to help reduce our financial banking desert that we've had here for so long, I'm not gonna tell y'all how old I am, but a very long time. So I want to, this question is for Arlo and Anthony. I want you to both talk a little bit about the importance of Black-led banks. I know Hope is one as well, but yeah, the importance of Black-led banks and mission-driven lenders and being in a community where you can actually work with folks and serve them in a way that is sometimes not there, not historically in communities of color.
Yeah. So there's a cultural difference in the financial industry. That's one of the things that we understand and know that if the community members don't have a relationship and they don't have the knowledge to go in and know what to ask for or know how to articulate what their purpose is or have clarity about what their business idea is, and they have to have somebody they feel comfortable to talk to. And a lot of times, you don't see people that look like you. There's a little bit of conundrum there as far as the culture goes, and are you going to understand where I'm coming from? And so that's one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that we did research and seen that wanted to get to one of the most economically distressed areas in our city and in our target market. And so that's one of the reasons why we chose 12th Street. Also, we felt like that there was no financial institutions here. You had Telco Credit Union up on University, but there's about, I think, close to 30,000 community members within a 10-mile radius. So we needed to have some financial services here so that people would have a resource to be able to know, where do I get assistance? Where do I get rental assistance? Where do I get assistance to fill in gaps for my business, or pay my light bill? Have a utility crisis. A lot of folks are one utility bill away from getting eviction. So, where somewhere that they could point to was one of the and then have actually, come in and then have the resources available right there, a one-stop shop.
Thank you. Anthony?
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback on that and really go back to a question previously, I think it goes back to establishing and building trust. And we have to acknowledge that rightfully so, there's an inherent distrust with financial institutions and certain communities, right? And financial institutions have earned that distrust, right? Whether it be through Freedman's Bank or sharecropping or redlining, there's a reason why communities haven't trusted banks and have, as rightfully so. But then we got to acknowledge that, and one of the ways that we try and bridge that is through being inclusive, financially inclusive, which includes representation. And to Arlo's point, there's a cultural competency that we believe helps to undergird that. And we try to approach the work from a human-centered, people-centered standpoint. And we recognize and we acknowledge that people are not their credit score, right? I can't judge your character as a person based on your credit score, right? And so the competency from the top all the way down to those who are front line allows us to see people for who they are. And again, to Charity's point, it may not be right now, but it's not a no. We're able to kind of meet you where you are, partner with other people that are here on the stage to get you the resources that you need. But the reason why we are here is because this is where credit and capital meets community. This is where the passion and the purpose meets the people. We have 56 locations across Mississippi and Arkansas. 9 of those locations, we're the only institution in town, right? So people wouldn't be able to cash checks. They wouldn't be able to make deposits if it were not for us. We tend to go into places where other banks have left, and we do that intentionally. We do that because that's our mission. Our mission is to be financially inclusive. And so whether it is here on 12th Street or whether it is another town in which we're going into pretty soon, we're going to go into places where folks have not had access to resources and be able to provide that for them.
Can I add one thing? That representation matters, and we don't have enough Black-led financial institutions, not only in Arkansas but across this country. When you think about the number of traditional financial institutions, I think it's somewhere around 4,000 or more compared to about 25 or less Black-led financial institutions. So that was another thing that to kind of help expand that and change that. I know that's a huge thing, but that's one thing I want to say, that representation matters, and also having a place where Arkansas misses out a lot on a lot of resources that the federal government has to offer because of eligible applicants. And so we wanted to be an institution that could stand up for the community and champion a lot of these resources that are out there, like the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which is a $27 billion fund that's going to impact our communities over the next 10 years. But how many African American, Black-led institutions are going to, or in communities like 12th Street, going to stand up and say, hey, 12th Street needs access to those funds to be able to make home improvements, to be able to build quality, affordable housing, to be able to, access the solar, the new energy opportunities that are out there. And so those are some of the things that, one of the main reasons why we wanted to be in this community, because we wanted to be able to champion resources.
Yes. That is a great point in terms of the Biden administration and their investments, not only in CDFIs, because I believe that, Biden has stood up a CDFI committee that maybe Darren Williams sits on and provides, advice. But also to your point, Arlo, how do we leverage federal funding and get it into communities that may not be able to apply on their own, but maybe through a CDFI or another intermediary would be able to access billions of dollars, literally. So you're absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that up, Arlo. I want to ask you all each, just kind of personally, you've been in this field for a very long time. You've seen the no's, right? You've seen the challenges. What are you hearing most often from small business owners in terms of why they're not able to access capital or why they're not able to have some of the documents or necessary paperwork or things that they need in order to successfully obtain a loan? You can be honest.
I think I would like to speak on that. Most of the people that I talk to, coming from a Forge standpoint, when I'm sitting down to talk to them, a lot of people just get started. They have an idea they want to be in business, but they really don't know what it takes to be in business. So they just go out and start something. And so we're challenging them and saying, we're asking a question, and they're telling us that, well, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to start. We didn't know how to get started. And as I said before, so many people are afraid, especially in the more rural areas, to even walk into a financial institution. And we're knowing that the financial institutions they're important in the community. Mm-hmm. That is where a lot of the businesses do start, right? And so to Anthony's point about, the reputation has been well earned, I quote, excerpts from the book all the time, The Whiteness of Wealth, because it talks about redlining in banking, redlining in real estate, and now I work in financial services as well, redlining in financial services, right? And so the whole point of the matter is we're trying to convey to the individuals that we know it's there. We want you to acknowledge that it's there, but we don't want you to be held back or continue to be oppressed by the fact that it's there. We want you to move forward. So work with us. We're going to work with you. If there's anything we can do to help you, we're going to do that.
Thank you. I would add, I think you're absolutely right? A lot of people jump in to get started, either out of need, out of excitement, out of desire, but that doesn't mean you still got to take a step back and say, did I register with the state? Do I have a good accountant? Do I have a good lawyer? The relationship you have with your banker is extremely important. I don't want to, you need a good relationship. Because not when you're in need, before you ever get in need, right? We want to know you, we want to work with you. But you also need relationships with other professionals who can help you stand up or revisit or tidy up your plan, your forecast. Those are the things that will relay to us or even commercial banks the confidence that you're headed, that it creates the clarity that Jay was just talking about of where your business is headed in the future. And I think that is probably most of the time what holds things up. That and people separating their personal credit from their business credit. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting started, your personal credit is your business credit. You are your business. We're banking on you. And so make it, before you submit various applications, interview us. We're not giving you anything. You're paying it back. So interview us, find out what we're about, what we have to offer. Have a conversation with us about our terms, our conditions, our process. Understand who you're entering into a relationship with. Then when you're satisfied, then shop around your credit, because that's a hit. And so I just think being savvy on that end, which I know can be very intimidating, but I think that's why we're here today, is to say we're the place, we're that front door marketplace, whether it's on the phone or Zoom, to have this conversation. I think we welcome that.
Yeah. So small businesses that we talk to a lot of times, we have to sit there with them and go to the Secretary of State website with them and go to, get everything lined out for them. We have a checklist. We have an online platform where you're able to log in and you can see, everything that a small business needs to know when starting a small business. And we partner with another CDFI, Northern Initiatives, and we have access to that platform. So small business owners are able to come in, we can give you a link, and you can access and get everything. It tells you about the difference between LLC, S Corp, C Corp, all those help you to really break down and understand that. And then we sit there and just help them to build, get everything that they need, the basic things to be able to go and get a checking account. We provide a checking account as well, because a lot of times getting a business checking account at a traditional financial institution is difficult because of not having the credit. Some people came and said that they have to get their credit checked to get a checking account. And so that's one of the things that we eliminated that barrier. With our credit union, we're able to offer a business checking account, $25, you can open up a checking account, your business checking account, and in that way, you're able to start your business going and separate those personal finances from your business finances. A lot of times, the reason they started like that, because, of course, when we talk about Alice families and not making a livable wage, you're coming out of a need situation, so it's like, well, I have to start, I'm good at cooking, I'm good at doing hair, I'm good at these different food truck, but I have to start these businesses, and then you muscling on your own because you don't have the credit, you don't have the a rich uncle or relationship with a financial institution. So we don't use credit. With our loan fund, we look at the ability to repay. So when we look at the idea, a lot of times, what's the concept? So we help you to bring that concept into realistic and reasonable reality.
That's realistic and reasonable. That is perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I want to note that tomorrow's expo is really designed to provide real-time support to small businesses who are interested in access to capital or figuring out what pathways are available for them. And so I do want to give a small shout out to Kiva, who is here. Kiva is another, it's not a CDFI, but it is another form of capital that small businesses can tap into if they want to test the waters in a safe space and be able to see really how much capital do I need and what do I need to be doing with it. Because I think another thing that, to Jay's point, is when people are thinking about growing and scaling their business, sometimes you don't know what that cost actually is. And so we also don't want to put people in the position of taking out loans that they don't really need and can't pay back. So there are starter opportunities before you get to the CDFI level for you to be able to test your pilot and test your capital and test kind of, ways that you can build your portfolio through your personal capital to get to business capital. But at tomorrow's expo, we are going to provide some real-time opportunities for folks. So I'm interested to hear from each of you, like how important is it for small and diverse businesses to understand the types of capital available and what may be suited to their specific needs? And what is a roadmap to help get them started? If there was one thing you could say to someone who is a business owner that they need to have kind of ready to go if they're thinking about accessing capital, what would that one thing be?
I think we mentioned it a bit earlier, but we hear the term capital ready or loan ready, and a significant part of being capital ready is being able to clarify what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and it's being able to take your idea and make it a business, right? Going from ideation stage to business planning stage, entering the market and identifying a customer. So I think one piece of advice would be to really turn your idea into a business. I think the lens also comes back on us as institutions is we've got to be accessible, right? So if a small business owner Googles, where do I get a business loan? CDFIs aren't going to pop up, right? And so we got to do a better job of being online. And then when it comes to the application process, we've got to be digital and be accessible to be able to do that. So I would charge entrepreneurs with being capital ready, and I would charge us as CDFIs as investing in technology so that we can be accessible and be sustainable as well.
I think those are great recommendations. I would add, when you're thinking specifically about your loan request, run your numbers yourself before you come in the door. take your financial plan, your budget, look at how much you can afford, and you can use a mortgage calculator, right? But get an idea of how much debt you can take on, what you're comfortable with, having to pay back, over how long. Think about those things, because it's going to impact your ability, it's going to impact your operating mode, right? Your ability to be nimble. This is an opportunity, that credit, that debt, to grow, but it also means maybe saying no to something else in the future, right? So these are trade-offs you're making. So just thinking through what that looks like before you come in the door, so you have an idea if this institution is going to be able to meet your needs.
Yeah. So I agree with what they both said. I just feel like, to Charity's point, and back to your point as well, Kara, about sometimes you may not need to get a loan. So just understanding or being open to the idea that you may not need a loan. There's really only three ways to start a business. You bootstrap it, you borrow money, or someone invest in you, whether it be an angel investor or a venture capitalist. That's the only three ways to get a business started. So you want to be open to receiving information that whomever is sending your way as to whether you even need to be talking about a loan.
To Jay's point about being open, get a business checking account first, because if you come and you want a loan, then we have to have somewhere to put the money.
Absolutely. There you go. Go see people
If you
trust.
have a business check, if you have a checking account, then now we got to get past that hurdle.
Yeah.
And so, so that's the thing. And if you have the wherewithal to get a checking account, that means you have the business formation documents.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So if you get all of that, and you got a checking account, and we have a place to put the funds, then that's one of the first things I would say. If you don't have a checking account, then we have the capabilities to provide you a checking account as well. Also, knowing the difference between a grant and a loan.
Yes.
A grant you don't have to pay back, a loan you have to pay back.
Yeah.
So in asking if there are any grants available, you have not because you ask not.
Right.
You ask and say, hey, do you guys have any grants available?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, how do I qualify for that grant? You might be a perfect fit for that grant. So that's one of the things, knowing the difference between the types of capital, and then having the account, so that when we do provide whatever type of capital we provide, we have somewhere to put it.
So I don't know if we're opening up for questions or, okay. We are going to lunch. We are
Kara,
going to lunch.
if I could, I would like to make one plug. Arlo mentioned grants, and this is not a grant, but it's a match savings program. So we do have a 3-to-1 match savings program, specifically if you're looking to start a business. So if you save $667, we will match you with $2,000, right? So you save $667, we're going to give you $2,000, and so now you've got $2,667 to help start or grow your small business. So I did want to put that out there. You can find out about it at banksouthern.com/IDA.
And I'm
Yeah, everyone. So now we're going to do our plugs, and that'll wrap us up. So Charity, please.
All right, so one of the products I would love to tell you about is our Power of Hope loan. It is up to $10,000. It is for small businesses. We look at untraditional credit, and we look at some traditional credit aspects. And so if you want to learn more about that, you can contact me, or you can contact Ms. Kimberly Lee. It's been a great product. It's a wonderful alternative to using a credit card or anything like that. We've been able to help a lot of people transition out of high debt into low debt, and move forward on their plan. And that's another thing I would add for a company. If you're thinking about it, it's baby steps too, right? Like, take out a small loan, repay it, build that credit muscle, then a bigger loan, and you keep growing. And I won't go on with the commercial.
I was just going to say to what Anthony mentioned. Out of the hundreds of loans I've made with Forge over the last 5 years, I know there's been 2 or 3 that had money from IDA programs. Yeah. They got to 2,000, they started a business, and they came to us, we loaned them 5,000, and all 3 of those businesses were successful. I know, so those programs definitely work.
Awesome. Great.
We have credit builder loan, so that which doesn't require your credit, just requires the ability to repay. So these are short-term loans to help your credit score and build your capacity to be able to access a larger loan from either us or another financial institution.
Well, I want to thank our panel. Today was very informative. We appreciate you all, and thank you to the City of Little Rock as well. So, yeah.
Always a pleasure.